Work begins on the triaxle coach for the unregistered model. So I've just got the alcove all set, got it comfortably set, ready to start work on the triaxle coach. I'm going to use the top shelf one as a template. The date is the 6th of December 2023. So some 3 hours later, and we did do a lot of stopping, texting on the phone. I wasn't really rushing at it. We got this far, still a long way to go. This is some of the basics. The toilet at the left, staircase, upper banister, luggage compartment with the door accessible from the inside. Got the two levels for the entrance and the floor. Still got all the chassis, well the chassis main frame is kind of done, but I've still got suspension and components. A long way to go yet. Not bad for a first day. I've got quite a bit done. The engine, suspension, front and rear. Starting on the overall profile. Obviously I've not got the roof done, like structured or anything like that. But got the wheelbase done. The engine and transmission done. But I've still got a lot of auxiliaries to go yet. Front suspension's done. Still got the ballast and everything to go. There's lots of work to be done yet. Interior to do. Obviously got to do the roof structure because there's nothing holding it together at the moment. But there's a lot of work done. I mean, I didn't do, it's like 30 minutes past 12, but I never worked all the way from 20 to 5 to there. I had stops, quite a lot of stops, but I've done a wee bit off and on, but that'll do for the day. So, even fixed the mudguard on the bike, so I was doing other things. Went out, got my tea and everything. Had visitors up, so I was off and on. But for the first day, I've come up with this, I've produced this. So that's pretty good going for the first day on this mega coach. Day off the day. So not bad. And having the alcove set to a comfortable manner makes all the difference. Still a lot of work to do. Haven't got any ballast or anything in it yet. It's just provisionally fitted. I didn't do much today. 8th of December 2023. Only done about half an hour. Doing the upstairs interior roof. Just fitting the interdeck ballast tanks. And I've got another one to go to the rear as well. So this is the interdecking. That's the ballast tank above the toilet and at the staircase. Ballast tank stroke interdecking. This is the interior ballast tank at the rear where the luggage compartment is going to be. So it's going to double up as ballast tank. So that's the rear ballast tank. I'm going to fill them with the ballast. This doubles up for the luggage compartment as well. I'm going to test out the ballast tanks. I'm going to fill them up. We've already got the underbelly mid wheelbase ballast tank, and I've got interdeck ballast tanks as well to fill. So I'm going to try them out to see if we can get all the coins in them basically. If it gets the weight with the coins in it without all the interior, then it's perfect. If it's not far off it, I think I would be able to judge whether I'm going to need more ballast or not. This is the ballast tank there. I'm going to fill them up with 2 pences. The interdecking I'm going to use with the 1 pences. The underbelly wheelbase is 5 pences because it takes up less room. So I'll fill these up with the ballast as well in the interdecking. I'm just doing a weight experiment. So it's the bodywork temporarily put together with the ballast in it. I'm just going to weigh it now. With the ballast in it, it's coming in at 21.19, which is equivalent to 18.1 metric tons, with the 117 grams equaling a metric ton. So I've got plenty of ballast. So I've over-engineered it as far as the ballast is concerned, because I've got the interdecking, and I've got the ballast there, and I've got the ballast in the underbelly. So I don't need all that. So I could certainly, because as you know, all the interior's still got to go in. The seats, the interior lights, the exterior lights, all the auxiliaries like the radiator. I've got the main engine and transmission in, but there's still lots of other wee things to go onto that yet, which will put weight on. So I know that the ballast, there's plenty of ballast tanks, and it's just a case of now adjusting it and synchronising it. So I don't need to modify anything as regarding the ballast tanks. So that's pretty much the profile done. Obviously I'll take it apart again to get the seats and all the floor runners, etc., and the driver's cab, etc. built into it, which will add the weight on. The ballast tanks, as I say, are maxed out, and there's nothing in, and it's coming into over the desired weight. I want this complete vehicle to be the equivalent weight of an 18-ton empty loaded 18 tons, which is 18 times 117 grams to get it to the weight synchronisation scale. Confident enough that I could start doing the design work now, getting the seats built in and all the rest of the interior. I don't need to worry about the weight because, as I say, they're maxed out with hardly any, well, no interior in it basically, and it's at the desired weight. So it's just a case of taking coins out to get the weight synchronised to around about 18.5 tonne, which is obviously 18.5 or 18 times 117 grams for its actual weight. Sunday the 10th of December 2023, I think that's enough for today. And it's after midnight. I only done about an hour and a half, basically, off and on kind of thing. So it's just a wee bit of time, basically. Do the lower deck shelving and stewage shelves. Move the ballast now because I know that the ballast is fine, the ballast tanks are fine. So I'll just now start with the interior roof panels, the stewage and lighting. So I think the next task now is to get the seats done. I've got the roof stewage Then I'll get the lighting done once I get the seats synced up, because I've got to sync the lights up with the seats. So there's no point putting the lights in there yet, and because each seat gets its individual lights. So once I get the seats in, then I can sync up the lights with the seats. What I mean by that is, like on this top shelf model, the completed one, the lights have got to be in line with where the passengers would sit. There's no point in having them out of phase. It's got to be in phase with the space where the passengers sit. That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say syncing them up, syncing up the lights with the seats. So I'm just going to try and colour code the seats, the coach seats. I'm just in the process of making up the seat ingredients. I'm going to make 40 of them, colour coded, 20 like this with the grey on the aisles on one side and the grey bit on the opposite side. So it'll be this configuration: blue, grey, white and black. That'll be the window side, and then this will always be to the aisle. And the floating effect, so the bracket will be at the back, and because that's one bit, it'll be floating. That'll be on the actual seat runner inside, on the wall side or the window side, and the aisle side, this blue bit will be floating, so it'll be sitting something like that. So I tend to have the two block to support itself, rather than just have the one bit floating, the one wide block floating. Angled blocks, sorry, these are both angled blocks. So the 2 by 2 angled block will self-support as it's floating, if you like, because the back bit there will be supported, and the other side will be supported on the runners, the seat runners, which will be going along the walls of the inside, the window side walls. This is the seats, they're sided. That'll be the aisle side, remember, the grey, so what, 20 on that side and 20 on that side. I don't know the exact number yet, but I've made a surplus, and I'm just going to get them in there and sync them up with the lighting, the over seat lighting and vents. Because the passengers have got individual vents and individual spotlights for each seat. Then you've got the main aisle lights as well, so there's quite a lot of lighting to go. So I've got to, before I could put all the lighting in, I've got to sync up the seats with the lighting, get the floor pan and floor layout all designed in. And the seat construction is like such. That's the coach seat representative for 2 seats. And then there'll be the back seats, the bench seats, which I've still got to do for the upper deck. The lower deck will have single seats here because you've got the staircase here and the toilet there. That's the lower deck seat runners put in. That's the seat runners along the floor. It also acts as a floor overlay as well, overlaps the floor panels. So the seats will fix on the wall side, and then you've got the seat bracket for the aisle side as well. As an example, that's the seat bracket there at the back, and you've got the seat runner on the inside. And the reason I selected this to be on the aisle side is because that's a block, so it's self-sustaining. Whereas if it was the other way around, that bit there is singular and it's more likely to collapse. Because this is a 2 by 2 block, it's going to self-support. And that's why I've chose it to be there on the aisle side. And the part in grey as well is going to be on the aisle side as well. So that's the lower deck. Will apply for the upper deck as well when I get onto that. And I've got that up in there to do as well. I've still got the toilet representative to fit in there as well. This is the single seat variant to keep the aisle at 2 dots wide. So these single seats will be going along this side here. I modified the single seat. It doesn't have a bracket because it will just sit directly onto the runner. If I put a bracket there, it would be too high up. So it has to be the same level as the rest of the seats. The rest of the double seats are fitted on a bracket there, so the front bit's floating. Then the other side is sitting on the seat runner. So it's basically one flat high. And this has got to be one flat high as well, so it's just going to sit directly on the runner, and I won't need a seat bracket. This is the seat layout downstairs at the moment, and I've got the 3 single seats there at the rear near side. I've still obviously got the driver's cabin instruments to do. I've still got the toilet representative to fit. and the ballast tanks, which doubles up as the luggage compartment as well. This bit of the luggage compartment will remain open. This bit here will be sealed with the coins for the ballast, and that will just double up as an internal, another cabin for luggage. So it's doubling up for that. The upper deck rear back seat bench will just sit on the runners across the runners. So I've got all the runners along on the upper deck, seat runners, and the rear back seat just sits on top of the runners, and that keeps the seat at the correct height. It doesn't need any seat brackets because it would be too high otherwise. And I've put the white bits for towards the centre for the parting, because that's the aisle seat. So it's difficult to film this at the same time. So, but you get the idea. Upstairs has this front support, just so that the centre doesn't collapse when it goes, and it's just fitted in because there's nothing supporting these two white bits. So I've put a seat support under there to lock it in. What I mean by the seat support, you can see it, the brown bit along there, and that just stops these two white bits there and that centre bit collapsing down. So that just seals up, and it's supported that side as well, and the opposite side on these runners. And that's the seat at the correct height. So I've got the seats on the upper deck, the seat plan done. As you can see, brackets there, a bit there's floating. Give it the seat effect. The legroom, again, it's just imaginary legroom. You just got to imagine it's there. It's different from the other seats you use for the buses. Let's just see the legroom. But I use the coach seats for more of a, well, the coach seat representatives, more plusher, more comfortable, more of a, more to it. Because it's a coach seat, so you can have reclining and all the rest of it, and extra padding, seat adjusters, you know, seat belts, all that kind of stuff. Bus seats are more basic, but the coach seats are a bit more plusher, so I've got a better representation. So there's 82 seats in total. It's an 82 seater, this coach. There's 27 seats downstairs and 55 seats upstairs. I could take away 2 seats downstairs to have more of a sort of refreshment area. I've still got the interior lights and all that to do. I've still got the seat individual lights and vents. Again, I have to sync them up, but now that the seats are in, I could sync them up. So like that gap there, I'd put the seats, the lights and the vents, because it's above the actual passenger bit. I wouldn't want to put it there because it'd be out of sync. It's got to be in the space between them, like in the top shelf model that's been built years ago. You can see that the lights are in that area, and the light representative and vent representatives. So the upper deck roof at the moment isn't sided, it's identical. So they haven't got a front or rear definition details on it yet. There's no features to define which is the front and which is the rear for the upper deck roof at this stage, because it's not got any lighting or any features to state otherwise. So it's just been put on as a temporary at the moment. I've just assembled it temporarily to keep everything together, and then of course I'll open it up again when it's time. When I've done enough for just now, but when I do more work on it, obviously I'll open it up and get the interior done for the driver's cab and all the rest of the interior done. But what I've done at this today's session, if you like, I've done the upper deck seats, I've done the upper deck, so I've done the upper deck seats, lower deck seats, and I've done the lower deck steward shelves as well, which is on the roof. You just see them there and there. That's the steward shelf representatives going right along there. It's like where you put your handbag luggage. So there's absolutely no ballast in it at the moment. It's just Lego, so I'm going to just weigh it as it is, just to get an idea of what it weighs, what comes in it. Remember, 117 grams represents a metric ton. So it's nowhere near finished. I just want, out of curiosity, I just want to know what it weighs at this stage. And at this stage, it's got the seats, it's got the engine and transmission, and the rear suspension, the front suspension as well. There's no any auxiliaries or anything in it at this stage, like radiators or alternators or exhausts or fuel tanks or batteries and other auxiliaries. None of that's been added yet. Still got lights, wipers, wine mirrors, there's still all that to go. So there's a lot of it to go. But I just want to know what it weighs at this stage of the build. At this point, it weighs 1277 grams, which is equivalent scaled weight of 10.9 metric tons. Because I divided that by 117, 117 equals a metric ton, remember? So this at this stage, it weighs 10.9 metric tons. That's just out of curiosity. There's absolutely no ballast in it. I've emptied out all the ballast. I know that the ballast tanks, there's more than enough room to get the ballast to the desired weight. And the overall weight, I want this to weigh, when it's complete, maybe just a tad over 18 tons. Maybe 18 and a quarter ton perhaps. Maybe even push 18 and a half, it depends. And I might just settle for 18, but no less than 18 ton. Something between 18 and 18 and a half tons. Not quite decided yet. And there's more than enough room to get the ballast in to get it up to that, because the bare Lego won't be enough, obviously. As I explained in my other videos, I'm not going to do it again, but if you look back on my project series, I go into a great deal of in-depth explanations regarding the weight synchronization. Lego doesn't have the density to get the weights the way I want it. Like the engine representative wouldn't weigh the same equivalent for a real life engine. So the bus engine would weigh about a ton at least. Big engine like that, maybe even a ton and a half, including transmission, ton and 3/4. So that would have to be a lot of grams, and the Lego, for the size of engine, wouldn't be enough to get that right. So the Lego density is not right. So I've got to add ballast to get the weight synchronised in comparison to the rest of the other vehicles that I build. That's what I mean with weight synchronisation. That does it for now. It's 5 to 3 in the morning. I finished my shift at 12 o'clock. I got home about the back of 12. Must have done about 2 hours. Yeah, two and a bit hours. So that's it. That's enough for now. I'll do a wee bit at a time, and eventually I'll get the whole thing finished. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to do a wee bit more work on it. It's the next day, obviously. 14th, well, 13th, Wednesday the 13th of December 2023. And I think I'll do the lights, get the lights in sync with the seats. Not that I've got the seat plan done. I'll put the passenger lights and the vents in next, and they will be in sync with the seats where the passengers are sit, so that they're above where the seating area is, rather than above the actual back of the seat. They'll be in where the passengers will sit, just like that in there. So I'll sync it all up. So I'm going to open it up and start working on the interior. So this is the interior upper deck roof, and I've got all the lights representatives and the air vent representatives, or Wi-Fi air vent. Just the luxuries, but these will be the lights for each individual seat, and they are synced up with the seats. So I've got the roof, I've not got it on tight, but it's just to show that it's synced up, so they're all above the proper placement. So I'm going to do the lower deck now. This is the downstairs interior lighting. These are all synced up as well, including the single seat ones, which is these seats there. For the upstairs, the middle of the back seat, it's got to have its light and vent. So it's a 5-seater. So that's the 2 for that side, 2 for the other side, and the one seat in the centre has its own here. That's the upper deck lighting, lights, vents. Upper deck air conditioning pods put in, representatives, and I've got like an information TV screen light board at the front, and it's flushed as well. So when it goes in the upper deck, it looks like this. So it's not in properly, but it's going to have this kind of flush effect. And from the inside, you can see it coming down at an angle. And to get the angle effect, I used hinges. Also added the interior lights, the main interior lights for the upper deck as well, the representatives for those. So I've got the information screen, air conditioning representatives, passengers individual lights, and Wi-Fi vents, whatever. You could double these up, but each seat's got them. And then you've got the interior light representatives in the centre of the aisle, or above the aisle rather. These are above the seats, these are above the aisles, the walkways. That's for the upper deck. So now we're going to do the lower deck. The light upper deck, the lower deck light, interior aisle, or main lighting above the aisles. Representative, so I've just got to put the actual light bulbs onto them, like this, onto there. That's the lower deck done. I've got the lower deck seats, I've got the lower deck toilet representative in there. I've got the staircase, the passageway light there. I've got the luggage compartment light, which is going to go above there. I've got all the interior lights, the main aisle interior lights, and I've got the air conditioning representatives. There's 2 on the lower deck, 3 on the upper deck. And I've got the individual lights. I've got a TV screen, or a information screen there as well, which is on behind the driver. Like a bit of a partition, but there is a gap through there to see the road for that passengers. So that'll do it for tonight. It's 13th of December 2023. So I'll just close it up temporarily and then I'll call it a night. This information board TV or information screen is interfering with this lower stowage compartment, so I'm going to have to remove that. Modified it, I've actually just made it a small flat for the information board. So I've taken away that because it's now clearing the lower stowage rack. And up again to put in some of the condensers, air conditioning on the rear. The ballast tank will double up for luggage, and you won't see behind them, but these vents will give you the representations for the air conditioning, because I don't want to increase the height of the vehicle because it's a double decker, and the coaches it would just be on the top. You'd have the pods on the top on the coach, but I don't want to increase the height of the decker, so I've got them there instead. So that's it for the night. I've just done a modification for the air conditioners. I put these there as well, just to give it a bit more condensers and some on the side, just to make up for the pods that would normally go on the roof. It would be nice to say a double decker for height restrictions. I'm going to keep it around about 30, just over 30 feet tall. With the pods it would increase the height, obviously. I don't want to do that, so oops. So I've done interior lights, upper deck and lower deck, toilet representative and sink, but then lights in the luggage compartment, lights in the rear hallway, and information board, which is just now a 2x1 flat, which is just going to have to do, that green one on the lower deck. It would have been a 4x2. Sorry, we did a 4x1, but there just isn't enough clearance. The upper deck's got a nice 2x4 flat at an angle with the hinges at the top front window, that brown one. Right, so that's going to do it. Probably a good 2 hours work. Right, so it's the next morning, or afternoon I suppose, the 14th of December. Before starting my shift, we'll maybe do about half an hour or something like that. Instead of opening it all up and doing anything, interior work, because I've not got a lot of time, it take considerable time opening this. So I'm just going to do peripheral works, like the headlights on the front, number plate. Might even do a wee bit of work on the rear as well, the lights, number plate, that kind of thing. Just easy stuff at the moment, because I've not got a lot of time and starting my shift very shortly, so I'll just do a little bit of work on it. Just doing the light clusters at the rear. Added a vent as well, which will possibly, because this is the passenger side, I'll maybe make that an air intake vent. On the off side, the driver side, I'll put in a big radiator cooling pack vent. That's the rear panel, in fact, with the lights on it as well as the vents. So that's the passenger side and rear side. The vent induction for the air intake for the engine. Cooling pack side, that's the off side, or the driver side. That's the cooling pack vent there. Got the 2 double tail lights on each of the rear, and that panel then just goes over as a rear skirting panel on the actual bus. I took it off again, I'll replace it back in. And then I've got the bumper representative that goes on to fill the gap there. That's the cooling pack, exhaust system, and a couple of auxiliaries to fit there. And I'll fit this. There's still more components to go in here as well, but that'll do for just now. I've got to go and get my shift. So it's a wee bit of work done on the 14th of December 2023. So got the destination blind for the rear and the rear registration plate in as well. It's upside down at the moment, but I managed to get that. So there's a wee bit of peripheral exterior work done on this part, this session of the work. So I've got to go on my shift now, start shortly. Right, so I finished my shift. It's now 1 o'clock in the morning. It does say Friday the 15th, but you could say it's still the 14th of December because I've been up since then. 14th of December 2023. So I've done a wee bit of work earlier on this afternoon regarding the rear end, the lights, the bonnet, the air vents. No, it wasn't that, I was done yesterday. The vents on the side panels. Some auxiliaries like the exhaust. Cooling pack vent. So I'm going to do some of the front aesthetics. I'm going to start putting headlights, wipers and stuff on at the front. I'm going to do the peripheral work. I don't really particularly want to take this apart tonight. So I'll just do exterior work and then I'll maybe do some more auxiliaries for the engine. And some under front overhang auxiliaries like fuel tanks and batteries. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. Technically it is Friday the 15th, but I just consider it like very late, Thursday the 14th. Because it's between going to bed and up. Between getting up and going to bed, I consider that a day, even though it is technically after midnight. So let's get on with some of the work on the front of this. That's what I mean, I do a wee bit at a time, and eventually builds up to a big project being done. The front panel, and also doing a slight modification to the front assembly, front chassis assembly, and to get more of a gap here for the fuel tanks and batteries. This involves altering the front axle suspension slightly as well. So I've done a slight modification to the suspension at the front. Bigger area, bigger cavity there for the fuel tanks and battery representatives. So I'm just going to put the cross beam across there. And that's the front axle cross stabiliser, if you like. A front vent, that's going to go there, and that'll be the vent on the front for the, like an air scoop, I suppose, for the misters perhaps. Still go in the front, but that air scoop there is going to go there. That could be another vent. It's got the wipers and big wing mirrors, like destination blind, still to go on, yep. Spotlights, fog lights, registration, dipped and sides, and main beam in the centre there. The representatives for the coach, so it's going to have quite a lot of lighting, exterior lighting. A wee bit of the front done, just working on the driver cab at the moment. Put some of the instruments, the instrument representatives in. I've got adjustable steering column there. Kind of like a plush driver seat, long distance, tucked in there. Not sure if this is the finished one yet, just in the process still of coming up with an idea. I'm just working on ideas for it. Instrument panel, dashboard, pedals, adjustable steering column, instruments, and that could just fit in there. And there's a courier seat as well, it's going to be added to this. Another idea for the dashboard and air conditioning for the courier, and just extended it basically. In situ, kind of. The courier's got a touch screen pad there, courier seat, air conditioning, which is under the dash. There, you might just be able to see it tucked in there, that yellow bit there represents vents for the air conditioning for the courier. The driver's going to have that air conditioning unit as well somewhere. That'll probably cool the cabin down as well. So I'm just going to fit wipers on next and the other peripherals like big wing mirrors, side mirrors. So that'll probably do for tonight. That's a couple of hours. I'm going to go to my bed now. I've still got wipers, wing mirrors or side mirrors to do. I think I'm just going to, I'll put in a destination front and side as well. I'm going to just call it a night of that. So I'm going to do some more work on it. It's Friday the 15th. It's 8 o'clock in the evening. 9:15 in the evening actually. I'm going to add the wipers and a few other wing mirrors. I'm going to put the wing mirrors on next, or the side mirrors, wipers, and maybe a few other details as well. So I've added some wipers, upper deck, 3 on the lower deck, and I've changed the destination blind to this nice blue long one here. So I've still got a door. I've got to put some sort of refreshment representative in here, so you could get like water or a fridge or something to store cold drinks, sandwiches. So this will represent it. There's a wee thing in there as well to kind of resemble the fridge stroke drinks refreshment kind of thing, like a sort of vending machine, coffee, tea vending machine, that kind of thing. That white thing there, if I could representation of it, and I'll use this glass Lego depiction of a glass to highlight, or to symbolise like refreshments on board this 82-seater coach. I added some window seals as well, just to give it a flush finish. And the wing mirrors, the chunky wing mirrors with the wipers on them. These will be heated wing mirrors and electric, plus with the wipers on them to keep them clean, just to signify them as a high-end mirror, expensive for a coach. And I've flushed all the bottom window seals as well with this flush, the flush tops. Except for the emergency exits also got it. Except for the front windows, because it would make them look too shallow. I prefer them at the original finish, you know, just the way they are. That's the destination blind representative. The door representative is going to be something like this, and it is a very simple design. It's just, that's a pivot point, and it's a block that's on the inside of this, so it's a 2-bay block, and it does represent the door for my model, so I'm going to use anyway. That's how it's going to be. Courier seats in there, and then beside him is the driver. Beside them is the driver. So we've got the front entrances. The gangways aren't blocked, so there's always room for the passenger flows. And this will double up as the door, or represent the door. A wee step as well to get in. So taking the door off just for now. It's got it's got like a 2-level entrance. Step, first level, and then entrance into the main lower saloon. Just show the refreshment thing again, just to so that would sort of double up as a fridge in there. It's hard to just highlight it on here, but that white thing there, that representative, the white bit of Lego plus the glass on top, the white bit could represent like a water dispenser, vending machine, sandwich box, fridge, whatever, just to signify refreshments. Refreshments on board for some 82 passengers. One courier that will be busy serving them. All 82. That will take quite a considerable time. I mean, you think about it. 1 minute per passenger, right? That's 82 minutes to go around them all. That's an hour and 22 minutes. Half a minute per passenger. That's going to be, what, 41 minutes? 15 seconds. But you get the drift, you know what I mean? So even if it was 10 seconds per passenger, which would be impractical to take an order. You imagine one person going on all the passengers, all 82 of them. That's minutes. Right? So, but even if that courier spent only 10 seconds per passenger, all 82 of them, that's about 13 and a half minutes. 10 seconds to give your order, and remember, you'd have to disperse it, or you'd have to get the order, take the payments and all the rest of it, or hand it back to them. If I want to do one courier to serve all 82, It's going to take one heck of a time. The journey would be probably over. But anyway, it just shows you, doesn't it? That's the storage compartment cover. Well, I've actually sealed the door a bit better. Just put a weed seal at the top there, just to... So that has to be there for the clearance, for the door to swing in. And that just gives it a bit of a seal tight, so it's not, you know, it's got something to press against the top, and this is open for you, for the driver to look from the mirror and to look through. I mean, this is just the idea, obviously it'd be glass, but I don't have glass on my Lego that size, so that will just have to represent it. That represents the passenger door. It's difficult to put this on while I'm filming, but I did actually manage to get it on with one hand. That represents the cargo lock, or the cargo door, or not, it's not cargo, what would it be, the boot basically. It's where the bags and suitcases all go. It goes in there, and that could be doubling up as shelves, although as you'll know, that's the ballast tank. Ballast for the weight, for the coins to go in, to synchronise the weight for the overall weight of the coach, which is going to be clocking in at 18 metric tons, so it's got to have 117 grams times 18 basically. And Lego doesn't have the density to supply that weight, so as I've explained before in my other videos in my project series, I use coins for the ballast. I'm going to do some work on the driveline. I'm going to add auxiliaries, fuel, air tanks, just various driveline components, the representatives for them. I'm going to add fuel tank, batteries and that in the front overhang. Where they wouldn't be in real life obviously, but in Memworld that's where they're going to be positioned, because that's the only space that there is for them. In real life they'd probably be under the staircase or tucked away somewhere and where the ballast tanks represent, but I want to have a representative on my model to look at, so it's going to get tucked in the overhang, and I'll just sort of have an axle beam or the structural chassis beam to protect it. Obviously you don't want a fuel tank being right at the front for obvious reasons, because if there's a bump I'll just obviously rupture it, so it needs to be some kind of protection, so I'll put it further back on my model and I'll put like a beam or something there, a chassis outrigger or something, just to give it some protection if you like. I've tucked one of the fuel tanks underneath the front axle, well, underneath and behind the front axle, and it's fixed to one of the chassis components. Now it's hard to fit this in while I'm filming, so I'm going to have to switch the filming off for now. And it's tucked down there. So I've got some other ones to put in here as well. Got a fuel tanks in. It's going to be a capacity of about 500 litres. That could be a kind of like a double up as a reserve tank or something. So we've got one there. Look at these and these. These all represented tanks. At 500 litres. It's about 100 gallons. Coach doing about what, 10 mile a gallon, get about 1,000 miles. 1,000 mile capacity of a fuel tank. Maybe more depending how it's driven. And the route it's taken and weather conditions, etc, etc. Tyre pressures, engine oil level, how well it's been serviced, wind resistance, road resistance, how it's driven, how the gearbox is set, if it's changing gears when they're supposed to, or if there's transmission slippage, if the tyres are, how they're inflated, of course the payload, the temperature outside. There's so many variables that will affect fuel economy. The condition of the air filter, how the engine is in its health, if it's been due for a repair, if there's a fault. There's so many variables. But say 10 mile a gallon, for argument's sake. We'll just say 500 litres, 450 to 500 litres, about 110 gallons. So got over 1,000 miles out of it. That's the battery representatives, heavy duty battery representatives for the coach. So we'll just fit in here on the chassis leg at the front overhang. Try to jam pack some components in here, some sort of intercooler or some heater matrix or something Just an auxiliary component, some other auxiliary component down there, and I've just got it all kind of like stuff in there to represent components under the front overhang. It's upside down, obviously, couldn't work on it. So I put it right side up, that'll be all tucked under there. But I've put on some sort of like under tray covers. These come off to reveal the components under them. There's also one there as well, just overlaps that, and the covers are just held on with these like brackets that go over there. I just pop it on, and that hides and covers the components. Like a anti-skid pan, if you like. So that one's still revealed because that acts as a kind of air scoop, and underneath these components, underneath these covers, there's the components that are revealed. So I've covered them up. This is what I like. So I'm going to do some work on the rear overhang and put in some air tanks, etc. and other auxiliary components, driveline components. I've finished it, but I'm just showing you how flush it is at the front. You can see that the front overhang is flush with the covers. So I'm going to do the work on the rear bit now. Some other interesting auxiliary representatives going in there, maybe like a compressor or something, or fitting in the chassis just amongst the rest of the driveline components. Just practicing with some covers, engine covers, or engine body, the engine skid pans, basically, underside, underbody panels, whatever you want to call them. So I'm just in the process of trying to experiment with that. I've got like a lower under panel that could go on. I've got couple of reflectors. I've added a couple of high intensity rear lights as well, brake lights in the back. I'll show you this right side up. So it's nearly finished. I've got to weigh this because there's no ballast in it. I've still got to do a few jobs on it yet before it's declared finished. I've got some more auxiliary components to fit between the axles. There's a cavity there where the drive shaft is. You can maybe get some air tanks and stuff in there. I want to tuck some auxiliary tanks down there in the bowels of between the wheels, the trailing or the steering rear axle and the drive axle. With the drive shaft going through there, through the hollow of the steering. That's coming at the transmission. This is the top part of the steering axle, if you like, with the wheel put on still. Don't try to do too much at once into a film and do this at the same time, it's not so easy. But I have jam-packed it with components anyway. Another, maybe an axle oil intercooler, axle oil cooler in there. Air tank coolers, dryers, air dryers. For the air brakes and suspension, etc. The air's got to be dried before it goes in the system. Otherwise you get ice, and it will cause ice problems and corrosion problems. And you don't want that in an air brake system. Or any air pneumatic system for that matter. Because when air's compressed, air will heat up. And when air heats up, once it's got to the high temperature, it will cool down and cause condensation. That water has to be drained out the system because it could freeze in the cold weather, causes all sorts of problems. So you don't want water in the air brake system through condensation. Some systems use, I think, is it like a methonated or methanol alcohol or something to absorb the water. There's the air dryer system that designed to dry the air, basically. Anyway, I've got the representatives in there. This is suspension airbag representatives, some of the other stuff's covered. I haven't got any ballast in here yet. That's going to be enough for tonight. It's now 25 to 12 at night. I've done enough. I'm going to watch some TV and I'm nearly finished. That's the main drive axle representative there. And there's another two of these airbags under these panels, or covers if you like. So with the vehicle right side up, the components are tucked under there. I've got some rear covers on, the bonnet representative, which comes off like that to reveal the engine and the components under there. So I've kind of jam-packed it with components. This being a mid-shelf quality model, by the way, means it is being built as it is. It doesn't get disassembled and then reassembled for a final assembly. This is built as you go. It's a much quicker, easier way. If you like, you would consider it a cheaper method. But it's a bloody time-consuming one because it's such a big, complex model. So that's it. That's about 3 hours work. That'll do for now. And this will go into a separate, this will be the 15th of December 2023 file, or progress file. And then I'll make this into one big long movie. This is shootable for YouTube, so I could probably stick up online as well. I'll give it the once over, a check over. If anything's in it I wanted edited, I'll edit it out before I put it online. But the model is nearly finished. There will be like a summary once it's officially complete. High intensity brake rear lights, rear high intensity brake lights representatives, upper destination blind representative, registration plate representative, air conditioning condensers representative. The evaporators are inside for the cooled air to come out to cool the saloons. The representatives are in the interior roofs. You would have saw that air there. Without ballast, I'll maybe get the weight out of curiosity, and I'll know roughly how much ballast I'm going to need. Right, ballast is coming in at 1472 grams. Divide that by 117 grams, comes in at 12.6, so it's a 12.6 metric tons as it is, without any ballast, without any coins. It's complex enough as it is, just with the sheer size and the density. This is pure LEGO weight, so there isn't much ballast required, but there's tons of room for it. And the tons of room that I've built into the design is built in such a way that it won't affect the aesthetics of the model. So the model will look the same. It still has all the representatives, and the ballast tanks will do just fine as they are. So there's plenty of room for ballast should I need it. But at that weight with pure LEGO, it's about 5 and a bit tons representative of ballast required. But there's nothing there to do double that. So I don't have a problem with the weight. I'll get the weight up to 18 tons, no bother whatsoever. So that's it for the now. I did actually find a sink tap for the for the toilet representative in there to the left of the staircase. I've used that as a sink, and for the toilet there's that set up there. That's just going to have to do for the toilet representative. That'll just have to do. I can maybe, when I open it up again, a bit of ballast in, I can maybe swap some of them out for this. But it's just wee things like that, wee modifications like that I do throughout the building before it's actually declared finished. So it isn't declared finished yet, because I've got to do a checklist to make sure I've actually got everything in check, because there's so many details. It's quite easy to overlook something. But that's going to do for tonight. And that's the 15th of December 2023 progress file. Right, so it's the 16th of December, and in maybe a couple of hours before I leave to go to my shift, I'm going to do a wee bit of just finishing touches on this coach, and then I'll get the ballast put in as well. Some modifications I've done, just a couple there. I've changed the cargo, or the luggage compartment to a slightly flusher setup. I put a block there to make it easier to fit, so it doesn't push through. There's something else I did. Well, I actually done this yesterday after I'd done the recording. I added just this wee corner bit there, just to give it a bit of style. You'll maybe see, I'll take this off and you'll see. So that would have just went flat down, but I added that there. And I overlapped this just to give it a bit more strength as well. So I'm going to have to open up this thing and get the ballast in that put in and just give it a final check over. So I've opened up the model for one final time. Being a mid-shelf, it doesn't need to be completely disassembled, then reassembled for a final assembly like the top shelf models. No, this is mid-shelf, it's done quicker, it's just built as you go. I might make some sort of shelving compartment, lies in compartments in there for the luggage. It doubles up for ballast as well. And I'll use this tap that I found for, you know, for the bathroom, not the bathroom, sorry, the toilet. Stick that in there for the representative. Just give it a final look over, check. Then I've got the interdecking to put ballast in there if need be. There's 3 areas, ballast tanks at the wheelbase, or the belly if you want to call it that, the underbelly. You've got ballast tanks here, and you've got the ballast tank on the interdecking. That's the ballast. It's just some 5 pencils, not much, but they're small enough to get into the lower belly, or the lower mid-wheelbase ballast tank. The big coins, the 2 pences, will go in the larger area, because obviously the coins are bigger. And the 1 pence pieces will go in the interdecking, because that's a good enough size. You'll get some 2 pences in there as well. I'll get 2 pences in these spaces, although it's not as big as this. I could balance out the weight. I could put, you know, spread the weight, spread out the ballast, so it's not all concentrated at one area. I've done the toilet representative and sink, and maybe some sort of, I don't know, like cupboard or something for stuff. That's just going to have to do. That's it. I'm using that as a toilet representative, and I don't really give a monkey's what it looks like. As long as there's something that represents the toilet, that's all I've got. And I'm not going to go searching looking for an official one, because I don't have one. So I'll just make something up. Make it up as you go along. As long as there's something in there to give it a feel of, you know, just give it an idea that there's a, like a, you know, the sink, the toilet and that. Right, that's that little task done. I might as well do all the finishing tasks while the thing's opened up. Just do a quick overview. That's the upper deck roof, interior, stowage shelves on lower deck, stowage shelf on upper deck, interior main gangway lights, air conditioning ducts for the passengers, 3 information TV screen at the front there, individual lighting, seating, double up vis vents and Wi-Fi, whatever, you know. As long as there's something that represents something that passengers have got, their own light, their own Wi-Fi, their own vent, that's what that's going to represent. All 82 passengers, including the centre of the rear upper deck, rearmost seat. Lower deck, same sort of idea. Driver's got his own cab light. I haven't actually fitted the interior lights for the above the passageway, which is quite easy. I'm going to do that now. I've added a wee sort of shelf-like representative in there as well. It's more like a stowage racks, so they could get into there. Shelving for the bags, to put the suitcase and bags on basically in the luggage compartment. Just sort of testing it out, put another little bit of luggage rack in there as well, just to make it look like there's some sort of shelving going on in there. So that is doubling up as a ballast tank, but you just got to imagine there's a way in there to get the luggage. That's just to sort of represent shelves, and you just got to imagine there's a way in there, because it'll be double up as a luggage compartment. But it's actually going to be containing the coins for the ballast, so I can't have an opening as a door, an access way like what's in there. The representative, you can actually see the access point in there, so you can access the luggage compartment from the inside lower deck saloon. But I can't have an access point at this compartment. You know, you just got to imagine it. If I did, the coins would come out. I can't have that. So, for the coins, the 5 pences, it's going to go in the lower ballast. I'll do obviously the internal ballast first of all. So it's 249 less than 65 grams for the tub. So it comes in about 180 grams for the 5, you know, for the 5 pences for the lower. That'll be the final tuning for the overall vehicle. This leaves about 480 grams for the internal ballast. We have a total of about 660 grams. Divide that by 117, it comes in at the 5.5 metric tons worth of ballast to get the overall weight of the vehicle to around about 18 metric tons. So I've done the approximation for the calculations for the weight. Obviously I put the big ballast in the insides first, seal it all up, then do the fine tuning of this 5 benches in the underbelly, which is accessed from underneath the vehicle when I tip it upside down on its roof. And then once that's sealed, that's the vehicle officially weighed and finished. So I've temporarily put the upper deck roof on so I could turn the upper deck assembly upside down so it's not resting on its pillars. And between the 480 worth of grams of ballast to go between the luggage compartment representative at the rearmost corner, at the rear bottom back right corner of this compartment, and I've got the interdecking. So between these I've got to get 480 worth of grams of coins for the ballast, and then the remaining 180 grams for the 5 pences go in the wheelbase once the bodywork's all sealed up, and then I'm just fine tune it with that to get it to around about 18 tonnes. Interdecking ballast tanks open for its final time. I'm going to fill up these cavities with the coins. That's an approximation, that's 483, that'll be close enough. So all that's got to get spread over from that tank, ballast tank, on the interdecking. Then I seal up the body and then use the 5 pences to just get the weight up to its 18 tonne fully unleaded weight. That's a complete vehicle weight, 18 tonnes or thereabouts. Even if it's just a little over, it doesn't matter. That's just good enough for me. That's the unleaded weight of the vehicle. Remember, there's a difference between curb weight and gross weight. Gross weight is the vehicle when it's fully loaded with passengers and luggage, etc. The curb weight is just the weight of the vehicle sitting at the curbside with fuel in it, and a driver and a courier as well, you know, with the crew basically. I think unleaded weight is without fuel or very little fuel, no driver, no crew, no variable fluid levels like the ones used for the sink and the toilet, the refreshments. These are all variables. I think they're all empty with an unleaded weight, but a curb weight, these are all full. It's like the vehicle sitting at the curbside, just ready to go, and that's curb weight. Gross weight is when it's all loaded up with passengers, luggage, etc, etc. My vehicle here is just concentrating on the, I haven't really defined it yet, either curb weight or unleaded weight, but when they're talking about 18 metric tonnes, the difference isn't much because it's a massive weight anyway. So a 450 to 500 litre diesel fuel tank will weigh something like in the region of about half a tonne. The fuel will probably be something like, but somewhere between a third and a half of a metric tonne, the weight of 450 to 500 litres of diesel fuel. So I've got the interdecking done with the 1 pences. I'll do the other one, the luggage compartment at the back with the 2 pences. Back to 2 pences in there, try to pack them in a way so they don't battle about too much. If this was a top shelf quality model, they'd be taped up so there wouldn't be any rattling. This being a mid shelf, it's done quicker, therefore you could consider it as a cheaper model. So less time spent on these things. The quality isn't as good on a mid shelf as it is a top shelf. But this is what this is. This is going to be a mid shelf. So there's a bit more space in this ballast tank. I've added a baffle. That's just to sort of baffle the movement of the coins. You won't see it, but it doubles up as an imaginary shelf, I suppose, inside there. But it will be a baffle to prevent the movement of the coins, and it'll add ballast in its own right as well. So it won't be less ballast required in the wheelbase. This is the sort of cheap baffle, if you like, just a very crude idea. You won't see it, but I just kind of like it. It's a sort of block in there to stop these coins from moving. It's only fixed in with 2 points, as I'll show you. I'll show myself so I can refer back to it. That's why I make these videos, but I just like to share them with you as well. So it only just fits on there, these 2 points there and there. There's not really much to it, and there's a little baffle under there just to lock the coins in, stop them, to minimise the movement. As I say, I would spend time actually taping them up and everything and doing it much more better quality if it was a top shelf, but this being a mid shelf, I don't have the time to do that. I just do it quicker, cheaper if you like, cheaper way, a cheaper vehicle, you could think of it like that. The reason it's going to be a mid shelf, I've got plenty of top shelves, but I'm building a mid shelf because I want to see how these things perform in my Lego Destruction Derby banger racings, like what the banger racing that I do with my Legos. Like that, I reenact the stock car banger racing, so I do it with my Lego models as well, because I'm a big fan of stock car racing, and that includes the banger racing, which is my favourite formula, and I'd have my own Lego bangers, and I'm not going to build a top shelf quality model, although I do it when I'm finished with the top shelves and it's time to replace them. I replace them first, then I put them into the banger, the Lego banger racing. But this, I want to see what it behaves like and performs like with this amount of weight ploughing into the other vehicles. So I'm going to enjoy it for a wee bit before I destroy it. So I built it at mid quality, and so it's quicker basically. So that's the lower deck and upper deck and intermediate deck done. It's just time to put the roof on and that'll be it sealed, and I'll start working on the lower ballast tank. So that's with it's 1980 grams with the interdecking ballast and the rear luggage compartment ballast tank. I've got the wheelbase to do, so it's sitting at about 16.92 metric tons, and I need to get up to around about 18 tons, so we'll get the weight synchronised. Finally, with these 5 pences, which I'll work from the underside. So I'll turn this upside down and I'll put the wheelbase or lower ballast tank. I'll get that filled up with ballast and get the weight synchronised, and that'll be the complete vehicle weight. It's the lower ballast tank open. There is the fitments on the underside where it will clamp up to the chassis beams. I've got them on there as well on this underside, so they just push down rather than pushing it to nothing. They push onto these solid parts there, and then I've got the strap that goes over the outside of the underbelly or under mid-wheel-based ballast tank cover. So on the exterior, or on the very bottom if you like, there's that strap that goes over to lock them in. Just tightens everything up basically. You'll see what I mean when I get it filled up with coins. So let's get the coins in and then I'll show you that. With all the 5 pences there, and of course the weight of the ballast tank covers, it's going to bring it up to about over 18.5 tonnes. So I'm going to synchronise it to just maybe a tad over 18 metric tonnes, maybe 18.2, 18 and a quarter metric tonnes, something like that. So that's 150, 137. Try that. 137 plus the weight of the ballast tank covers. Then you've got some of these wee things, the mirrors just to go back on as well. Negligible. So 166 grams. So I get the vehicle about 18.3 tonnes. That would be a nice weight for it. Yeah, I'll maybe just take a tad off because to compensate for that. Try and get it around about 18.3, 18 and a quarter, 18.25, thereabouts. So I added a few baffles to it as well, just to try and minimise the movement of the coins. So not overly fussed because it's a mid-shelf, but so I've just threw a couple of baffles in there just to, as I say, minimise the noise. Cover on, and with this outer strap that should fit on, it's pushing down on something solid because I put the contacts onto the chassis. So on the underside there's the bits that touch the chassis, that connect to the chassis legs, or the chassis runners. Without them that would just be pushing down into solid, into hollow, and then that just won't really make good contact. But because it's solid now, that's going to fit quite well, and that just kind of like locks the plates together. And that covers it up, seals it up. This is the final vehicle weight. The kit weight, stroke unladed weight. I haven't really defined which I'll choose, probably kit weight. So I'll just be a tad under, it's an empty fuel tank, but it's coming in at 18.222 metric tons, or 18,222 kilograms. So basically, with the weight synchronisation scale that I use, that's 2,132 grams. Divide that by 117 equaling a metric ton, my weight synchronisation for my Lego models. This comes in at 18.22 tons. That's the vehicle, I would say, officially complete. The engine's a 12 litre, by the way, and that's defined with these cylinders. These cylinders represent a litre, and the engine is tucked away under there, tucked in the back under all these panels and everything. There's 12 of them that will represent a litre in cubic capacity for the engine. These also double up as air tanks and other auxiliary components. I'll tell you just while lifting it, it does feel pretty heavy for a Lego model. And that's how I like it. And I can't wait to see how this performs in the demolition derbies. This will knock a hole in anything because of the sheer size and weight. It weighs a lot. It's the heaviest vehicle I've ever built. One of them. I mean, obviously I've built the top shelf counterpart. I built that years ago. about 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago. That's the same model but top shelf quality, and that actually weighs in at 18.5 tonne. So I synchronised the weight for that. So it's 18.5 times 117 grams is the actual model weight. And that's an old tipper that I bought about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. No, 10.5 years ago I bought that. And that comes in at 12 tonnes. I've done a video on this, I won't spend too long, it'll take too long in this video. But you look back at my other videos, titled Lego Project, and then you'll get a lot more details regarding my Lego models. So, I'll write up like a wee sort of specification essay on it, just to give it the details, and gives it the specifications. It's 43 feet long, 13 feet high. That's this 1 in 30 scale, so it's the vehicle is going to be 43 feet long, 13 foot high, and it's the usual just over 8 feet wide. So you divide that by 30 and you get the actual size of this model, because it's approximately 1 in 30 scale. With the limitations of Lego, it comes in as close as that. So it's basically like 10 dots wide, that's about 8 feet. 1 centimetre equals a foot. I've got my shift. I'll finalise this video at a later point, and I'll give you the lowdown. I'll show you the dimensions, the specifications, seat capacity. I'll have it all written down, and I'll have a picture or a video next to this sitting next to it. So I've kind of like used it to depict something like the real model, the thankyou Astromax, Astro Mega rather, double deck coach. They're used a lot. Megabus have quite a lot of them. So, right, I'm going to have to go and get my shift. I have to go and do my shift. That's it for now. So I spent about a couple of hours, I would say, doing that. So that's tallied up quite a few hours building this model. You can see the shelf sort of shaking, so it's a big heavy vehicle. And that'll do for now. This is me just registering my model with the unregistered mid-shelf production models Alcove Vehicle Builders. So I'm just in the process of doing that now, and then I'll pretty much officially declare it finished. The way is later on. I've completed my shift. This is just later on tonight, on the Saturday the 16th. So I've got a folder downstairs with all the other models. This is just page 1 of the unregistered mid-shelf. Okay, I spelled vehicle wrong, but I'm not giving them. I don't really care. My spelling's not the best at times, but as long as I know what's what, that's what matters. I'm just just sharing what I've got. So I'm going to christen this model Cruise Liner 82. It's just the first thing that came to mind. I don't have time to think of it, so it's just said, you know what, I'm just going to call it Cruise Liner. So, Cruise Liner 82, double decker coach, and there's the build date, and that's everything. The models are identified with the date it's built and its weight, whether it's in grams or the actual scale weight, just what it's to be. The grams, as I say, 117 equals a metric tonne. So it's registered in. Official date, completion date, 16th of the 12th, 2023. This is just some of the checklists that I went through during the build, just to make sure that I done everything. And this is the specifications, if you like, stroke brochure, just to remind me as to what I built. This is just a make-up manufacturer's badge. Because it's in the alcove, these depict the shells in the alcove. That's what the alcove looked like. So I've just sort of done that. Actually, I went downstairs and put on a transponder on the roof as well. So this is just going through some of the stuff. As I say, that's the name we gave it, Cruise Liner, and the manufacturer. Unregistered mid-shelf production models, Alco Vehicle Builders. Doesn't mean anything, but I just made it up anyway, so there you go. And the date. Yeah, as I was saying, I identify all my Lego vehicles with the build date and its weight. the date and the weight, whether it's in grams or in kilograms or in metric tons. But that's the two main identifiers. Then I've got the width, 43 feet, 30 foot high, 8 foot wide. Passenger capacity, 82, one driver, one courier, 2-person crew, 84 people on board, no standees on the coach. Rear luggage compartment. Engine, 12 litres. I showed you the cylinders that represent a litre. The engine will be a 6-cylinder engine, but the Lego cylinders that I use represent a litre. Transmission, just going to say a 6-speed automatic. 3 axles. Front axle is the driving axle. The steering axle, beg your pardon. Front axle is the steering axle. The middle axle is the drive axle. And the rearmost axle is the rear steer tandem axle. Fuel tanks, 550 litres. Well, actually 500 litres of diesel plus 50 litres of AdBlue. 110, 120 gallons of fluid. Fuel stroke AdBlue. About 10 mile a gallon. Top speed 65 mile an hour. Maximum gross weight 26 tonnes. Design weight 28 tonne. Probably push 27 tonne legally, but design will be 28 tonne. 7.5 tonne on the front axle, 13 tonne rated on the rear drive, and the rearmost tandem 7.5 tonne. In the real life models, the front axle is single wheels, the drive axle is double wheels, and the rearmost axle is just like the front wheel, single wheels. Toilet on board, refreshment staff. Front display, went through all that during the build. Wi-Fi, aircon, comprehensive heating and ventilation, comfy seats. Front fog lights, spotlights, high spec lights basically. So that's it, officially built. And the reason it's called unregistered is because they're not going to last very long, because I built them to end up in the destruction derby. So the top shelf quality models could last years. The oldest one I've got is about 16-year-old. The mid-shelf ones that are registered could last quite a while as well. Eventually the top shelves, when they're finished, when it's time to build another model, when it's time to use up the Lego to build something else, I put them in the destruction derbies, the banger racing. I depict the banger racing on my stock car arena, makeshift arena. So this will be built for it. But I'm not going to put it in like too soon. I'll maybe relish a few weeks of it being built. I've got other vehicles to build for it to contend against. An 8-wheeler tipper, I've got to build that. A single decker or a double decker service bus, and a few cars and vans. So it's going to be quite a lot of action. I want to see how this performs in the destruction derby with its mass and the way it's built. So I'm certainly not going to destroy the top shelf quality one in a hurry. That one took about 16 hours, cumulative hours to build. So a lot of work. A lot of work, but over 10 days. So I just done a little bit here and a little bit there, and eventually got the thing complete. And I logged it all in on video, and this is what I'm sharing here. So you get to see it being built. And I'll video it getting destroyed as well. When it comes to the destruction derby, banger racing for it, I'll video that too. And you could get to see it getting destroyed, or how well it performs in destruction derbies, smashing into the other Lego models that I build. Just like the real going stock car banger racing that I attend regularly to. If you know my videos and you know my channel, you know that I've actually done the real life banger racing with the cars on the track many years ago. So in right into it, I've been a spectator for many years, about 20 odd years. So, and I've seen all sorts of vehicles on the track. Buses, trucks, cars, vans, caravans, I saw them all. And I really thoroughly enjoy watching. So I even do my own Lego versions of them as well. So that's just the engine compartment, which is jam-packed full of components. I've turned it upside down so you could get a view of the underside. It's a prop shaft that runs, you saw how that got built. You can see that it runs through the transmission, or out of the transmission, through the tandem axle, and into the rear drive axle, where the differential gearbox would be in real life. And that splits the drive between both wheels, both drive wheels. Obviously this being Lego, it is actually single wheels, but in the real life model, it would be double wheels. The differential basically does just that. It differentiates the power between each wheel. So when it's cornering, the inner wheel will take a shorter path than the outer wheel when it's turning. So the outer wheel's got to go quicker than the inner wheel. So the differential gearbox is responsible for that. It's also responsible for the final drive, for the torque reasons and speed, tyre ratings. It's a final drive, and in this case it's also does the 90-degree drive. So the engine is longitudinal, so the torque is going into the diff that way. It's got to transfer it into the wheels, into the hub, to drive the wheels basically. It's an open diff, so most coaches, I think most buses are. Big heavy duty airbags on all axles, being a coach, high spec, lots of stabilisers, because it's going to be 65 mile an hour, hurling 28 tonnes at 65 mile an hour. All the stabilisers and suspension components have got to be heavy duty and up to scratch. Just like that, full size wheels and axles, it's the same rating as the big rig articulated trucks. The full size buses with the big wheels, all the axle components, brakes, everything, same rating as a big lorry, big Arctic, the big rig Arctics. They could weigh gross vehicle weight up to 44 tonnes in Britain. Empty loaded for an Arctic will be something like 15 to 16, depending on the model of course. If it's a box tipper, 15, 16, 17 tonne, just varies. 14 tonne, just depends on the trailer, the specification of the tractor unit. But anyway, that's the model officially complete. Okay, right, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed that, and look out for the Destruction Derby when I get the other vehicles built, because I'll be recording that as well. Okay, see what else about on my channel, and look out for the Destruction Derby, as I say, it'll be coming next year sometime. Okay, thank you, thanks for watching, bye for now.